Hey everybody, my name's Al. I'm an instructor here at our local prestigious college, and I'm here today chatting about an awesome new classroom assessment strategy I've been working on known as the Muddiest Point. The Muddiest Point strategy is a very simple, reliable, and usable classroom assessment technique for educators to assess the state of a student's understanding of a certain topic. While it might seem like an obvious step in classroom assessment, it wasn't actually developed as a strategy until around 1989 by Dr. Frederick Musteller. It is said that this technique provides a high information return for very low investment in time and energy. Now, as mentioned, it's a very simple technique where students are asked to respond most of the time anonymously to one very basic question, and that is, from the lecture, discussion, assignment, or presentation you just heard or learned about, please write down the most confusing or unclear points. Implementing this strategy creates an opportunity for an instructor to reorganize or restructure their next classroom session to include revisiting the portion of their lecture that was confusing or ambiguous to students and hopefully clarifying it. Instructors use this student feedback to assess which points are most difficult for students to learn and allows them to make decisions about which topics to emphasize and how much time to invest in it within the classroom. The Muddiest Point strategy is very inexpensive and can be applied to almost any learning platform, even after watching a film or reading a book. It is also not limited to individual students either. It can be implemented in smaller or larger groups. Now, the context in which this strategy works best, well, within my classroom, one context in particular that this strategy works well with is known as the classic method. And that's where an instructor simply hands out some response cards or post-it notes and then gives students ample time to reflect on a few key questions, such as, what was the most confusing point in today's lecture? Which part of the lecture was least clear to you? And do you have any questions about today's lecture? Now, I believe it's really important to give students an ample, pressure-free time frame to complete this exercise and allow for a more accurate and unhurried feedback. You have to give this exercise the attention it deserves, as it will impact the reliability and the validity of it. Once students have completed their responses, the response cards would then be collected and reviewed by the instructor, allowing them an opportunity to clarify obtuse points, all the while improving the content of their course. Another context where this assessment strategy can be helpful is where a student may be hesitant or too shy to speak out in class, and this strategy may provide a more comfortable avenue for them to get their questions answered without attracting too much attention to themselves. It is, however, important not to overuse this classroom assessment strategy, as it may focus negatively on your lessons and discourage both the instructor and the student. An instructor should probably make every effort to keep everything in as much of a positive light as possible, and therefore the Muddiest Point strategy can be applied in a reversed way by asking students what the most important part or maybe the most interesting part of your lecture was. It is also very important to respond to all feedback from students. Otherwise, it could cause a student to feel inadequate or unimportant. Now, this strategy has several advantages. It is a dual-purpose feedback tool that can benefit both the teacher and the student, because the ambiguous points are re-explained to students and hopefully can provide a student with a greater understanding, while the instructor then benefits by being given the opportunity to know what's not connecting with students and how they should be revamping their lesson plan. The benefits of this teaching strategy are also instantaneous. A student's confusion on a certain topic can be straightened out almost immediately, or at least by the next classroom session. Students' questions are made visible in time for the instructor to facilitate further lessons. Students can also feel that their instructor may be more interested in their feedback, as it promotes student participation. It can also be done personally or electronically, or as mentioned, it can be done individually or in large groups. It helps a student to reflect on, analyze, evaluate, and integrate what they were just learning about, and encourages retention of that information. It's a great efficient use of class time and can provide a positive effect on attendance. It is also more effective than in-class questioning and improves attention and listening skills, and you may find that students are actually paying more attention in your class. It has a few disadvantages. It can focus, like I say, it can focus more on the negative sides of your instruction delivery. It is not always easy for students to explain what they don't understand, or perhaps the student may not even realize that they don't understand, and the Muddiest point strategy may not be able to detect this. Another disadvantage is that it may cause an instructor to become frustrated after a student has identified a muddy point from their lecture that they believe was adequately relayed. If too much time is spent in the next class addressing the muddiest points, it can take away from the flow of the course, and class time may be lost that would have been spent learning a few new things. Too much emphasis on what students don't understand may also weaken or undermine the student-teacher relationship. Now, to provide feedback to the learners, there are several options for doing this. One of them being you can reorganize your next classroom session to include addressing the muddiest points made by students. You can prepare a handout for students answering their concerns. You can post the students' questions and answers to those questions online, on a web page, or even in the format of an email to individual students or as a large group. But the big thing is that if questions are frequently reoccurring, it does allow the instructors to rethink their lesson plans. So thank you for watching my video on the muddiest point, and I'll chat with you soon.